Yo, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and we are here for Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast of the week of April 16th through the 21st of 2019. Hope everybody's doing wonderful. If you've never watched this show, this is where I channel the astrology to you live. We are doing this live on my Facebook right now. And then we go deep into the charts, which are brought to you by Astrology. You can get it for iOS, Android, and for your MacBook. And if you're not on any of those, and you're on a PC, go get Solar Fire. People who made Solar Fire made Astro Gold. Thanks so always for providing those charts. This is, I don't know how to say this week. Is this a hallelujah week? I think it is, but I also think that it is going to be facing some major, crucial, very big decisions in our life. And at the same time, there is a lot of humbling and a lot of healing. This is a lot happening this week, and I know that every week it just seems like, is there going to be more? Is there going to be more? But you know what? We are shifting energies extremely this week into a whole different vibe, and I think that for over 60 days, if you just look at your life, you want to get out of a lot of this energy. The first reason why Mercury on Tuesday night here is leaving Pisces and out of its shadow period. Remember, Mercury went retrograde at 29 degrees Pisces. And this is the longest, literally, that Mercury could stay in a sign. To retrograde at the last degree of any sign, especially at its fall position of Pisces, has made this a over 60-day period of Mercury in a sign, and in the worst sign for Mercury. So when it comes to everything about our understanding of what's happening in our life, technology has been freaking insanely weird. Trying to get a grip of what's really behind the curtain. How do people really feel? What's really happening behind this situation? What is going on? We're in our own little detective modes, but also in our own little kind of trying to reveal, like, really, what's behind the curtain here? What is this thing really doing? And even having really weird, crazy perceptions about things is finally coming to an end. And remember that Chiron on the first week of March finally left Pisces after being there for pretty much this whole decade, since 2010 into 11 when it made its big shift, and that was at 29 degree Pisces, and then Mercury went there just weeks later and retrograded at that spot. So we are done with a lot of the weird energy dealing with the past. Now, this week is very important because we are leaving so much Pisces and moving into Aries, while we are going to have the second full moon in Libra. So let's just start with first, yes, the Mercury retrograde stuff is over. The shadow period and Mercury coming into Aries is about clarity and direction and giving us some bright, clear energy and light ahead. But remember, Chiron is here, and we have a Mercury Chiron coming while a full moon, the second one, by the way, in Libra, ruling relationships and balancing our life out and really trying to understand and weigh out so many elements of what are we going to do? What are we going to move forward in our lives with? And that's the big question. And relationships become a big aspect to this because we left the weekend with Venus that was squaring Jupiter. Venus in exaltation in Pisces, where it loves to be, had a hard transit to Jupiter in its home sign. Some big revelations of how to feel better or what relationships in life and where are they going. And there's been a lot of questions in that element too. And since Venus is the ruler, of Libra, right? Libra is all about this Venus element. And while we have this second full moon in Libra, which brings up relationships to the extreme degree, at the 29th degree, with the Sun in Aries at the 29th degree, and Venus, which will be in Aries, at its detriment. What does this mean? Well, a lot of things are coming to the surface now that we have been waiting to see what's going to happen, what is this situation, and start to be kind of thrown in our face. And this is also a big time because this last degree of Libra, and especially these last couple degrees, is where Saturn and Pluto were the last time. And here we are on this week, one of the final weeks of where these Saturn and Pluto elements are still direct, and we've got the full moon here on this spot that is pretty much releasing, because every full moon it's about releasing the peak out of energy. releasing a lot of the cycles that the last 35 years of relationships have really dealt with and the weirdness that it's been. I mean, we have seen in the last 35 years relationships go from one end to another end on the full-blown extremes. And the feelings and the weirdness, and there's been a lot of weird energy going on. And I do an awesome 80-minute video about it, which you could purchase, where I go just strictly on how this is a game changer. And literally, I'm going to say that this week is the beginning of the ultimate game changer of relationships, the ultimate game changer in defining yourself. This is the first time since pretty much 2011 that Chiron's out of Pisces, Uranus is out of Aries, and the sun is going to move out of Aries without any of those energies there. And so this is putting us in a really weird position with Chiron, because now it's Chiron in Aries, and it's the sun in Aries, and it's Mercury, and it's Venus in Aries. And Mercury and Venus, they like to talk to each other. It definitely brings a lot of sociable elements, but this is also where Chiron is. There's a lot of tools, there's a lot of extreme empathy that needs to be found, but we have to find that also and give ourselves our own empathetic energy towards who we know we are, and being, I don't think there's any coincidence that, Notre Dame caught on fire and Quasimodo is part of Notre Dame in the story, right? If we get into the more, fantasy energy of it. And Quasimodo to me is a very good description of Chiron and Aries. Like having to really look at our weird self, no matter how weird, whether it's physical look or how we define ourselves in a weird way and how we feel a little, out there or kind of as the outsider. And with Mercury and Venus here during a big second full moon in Libra, with literally the sun at the last degree and then moving into Taurus where Uranus is for the first time since the 30s, with the sun and Uranus in the same sign of Taurus, this is a whole new world we're getting this week to get prepared to jump into. And that's why it's going to be so intense. And more importantly, it's going to be so weird because it's like really quick. Like just Tuesday alone night, boom, Mercury comes out of shadow and comes into Aries, kabam, starts to have to make conversations, very investigative, wants to understand what this is and actually do it instead of kind of sitting behind and unsure. And then you've got Venus coming into Aries out of Pisces during this full moon energy. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy because Venus is at detriment in Aries. And unfortunately with Venus and Aries, Venus in Pisces is why it's exalted, is because it is more compassionate. It understands how people are. It understands the other side. It understands, the spiritual element. But with Aries, it's about us having to get what we individually want. And this is the sun at the last degree saying, this is what I want, but it's got this full moon for the second time saying but hold on a second. Do I really want this? Do I want to connect with that? Is this the right person? Is this the right thing? Oh my gosh, it's a lot of, And actually, you can think of it this way too. Mars is in Gemini. This is a curiosity intensity, right? And there's a semi-square from Mars to the sun. No weirdness that the Notre Dame fire happened with the sun in Aries, semi-square, this Mars in Gemini. There's some tension going about identity and the curiosity and the understanding of what is going on with our identities. And with this Pluto-Saturn conjunction with the South Node here, any structures in life that we are not putting our full integrity into is going to fall, is not going to work. No matter how much we can try to hold on to something, if we've lost our integrity or we're really not emotionally fully capacity to come into it, it's like Saturn and Pluto are going to destroy it. And so there's a lot of destroyer energy in the universe, especially as the South Node this week is getting really close to Saturn. And it's at the midpoint between this Pluto and Saturn conjunction point, which is very close to becoming full at the end of this year, beginning of 2020. And this is also where a full moon is highlighting the last Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And I don't know if you've done your history yet, but Saturn and Pluto, especially in 82, is when they started to come very close and then they retrograded like we're about to have now, coming up in these next couple weeks. So this full moon is starting to cover 82. 83 is when you start to see some really powerful conjunction points. End of 82, you actually see a conjunction, but 83 is like, really intense as, Pluto's getting ready to come out of Libra and Saturn's getting ready to come out of Libra and come into Scorpio, right? There's this back and forth energy between Saturn and Pluto that we're at the end of Libra Scorpio, dealing with sex and compassion as far as how much you're committing with it of your own desires with balancing out these weird relationship things. Or are you going to just settle? A lot of people just settled in the 80s with, oh, this is the situation, this is what I got, I'm going to just deal with it, I'm going to hold on to it. This is like putting all those structures and all those relationships and all those situations, if you were alive at that time, and even if you weren't, you're going to look at whether it's your parents or whether it's whatever. There's some weird situations going on here. Look at the world and the relationships that were built during those times, and all that is coming to a head now. And this is becoming very extreme because, again, now we're about to see Mercury conjunct Chiron, that we are going to get information that, we have to understand how to, for really, I would say the first time, communicate and try and understand mentally in our own self the uniqueness of what we want, the weirdness, the outsider part of ourselves, of who we really are, and we are going to have to see the beauty in our own individual selves and not feel guilty, because a full moon twice feels extreme guilt, extreme attachment to, situations that are in conflict with what we are, who we are, what we want to be, which direction we want to go, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be complicated. But the good news is that Mercury is out of Pisces. It is out of its shadow period. It is moving forward, and Mercury has not been this happy since it actually got a little happy in February just for like the 2.5 weeks that it flew through Aquarius, but that was it. 6 months where Mercury has been through hell. And that's the one thing of why Mercury is a neutral planet, is because Mercury can be on the good side of things, or it can be on the bad side. It could be malefic, because if it's attached with Saturn and Pluto, which it was, if it's attached with retrograding in a sign of its fall position with Neptune and being, deceiving and confusing and throwing out a lot, which we've seen a lot, whether it's the media, whether it's your own life, whether it's a lot of things in yourself and your own delusions and your own things, Mercury can definitely be a trickster. He can be your best friend, or it's not even a he or she, but really the old school mythology is Hermes. He can literally be your best friend, or he could turn your back on you. Now that Mercury's in Aries, we're going to see the better side of Mercury being our friend again and giving us some good advice and giving us some good understanding, and really from Chiron, which Chiron is about to say, hey, listen, I've got some weird energy of who I am. I'm trying to figure this out. I got to communicate from my authentic truth of my weirdness and not be afraid to show it. It's the courage now of Chiron and Aries to fully show who you are and to not try and, negotiate, especially with a second full moon in Libra, negotiate anything that's going to take you away from your true form, your true self, or settle, because that's what a double full moon is. I'm going to settle with you. Because what is Libra? It's the diplomat. Oh, I'm going to go to this country. I'm going to settle with you. Yeah, you're killing a bunch of my people and all that, but I just want to let's just settle this, and I'll be left with not really what I want, but at least we could kind of end the whole fiasco. And then how many years later go by until, again, boom, France and England get into wars, or, this country and that country will get back to a war. And this is us trying to avoid in our own lives going through the anger, because with Mars in semi-square to the sun, this brings up these weird mental communication, needing to express what we want and what we're not feeling right in our lives. And what comes even more into play here is when the sun this weekend comes into Taurus. So right after the full moon on Friday, guess what? The sun comes into Taurus, the moon goes right into Scorpio, and we go into a full moon Scorpio-Taurus phase with Uranus there for the first time that we have had any moon in Scorpio with a sun in Taurus since the 30s. Now, most of us were not alive for that. So we have no idea what we're stepping into, and Uranus is a new world, and when the sun conjuncts it in the sign that it enters into, for the first time, it is the new world. And what's ironic, look back at Uranus and Aries in 2010 into 2011. That new world energy was exciting in 2010, but it really didn't know where it was going. It was 2011 when it kind of threw you for a loop and went, no, we're going this way. And it did not look exactly the way that you thought 2010 was going to look. What you thought in 2018 and how it looked, it's going in a different direction, and it's going to show you the real new world that's about to show up, which is Taurus now, and it's Venus ruled. Look at how much Venus stuff is going on. Taurus Sun, Taurus Uranus, full moon in Libra, twice. You know, Venus moving into Aries, a Mars ruled sign. There's a lot of Venus-Mars competition going on. Not like literally, as far as Mars and Venus, but if we take a step back and look at things from another perspective, this is all about the very physical attachment energies and the physicality of our lives and what our reality looks like. Yes, we are in this spiritual experience. Yes, we could talk about 3 and 4D and 5D all day long, but I'm going to just be honest with you, with a Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, and with all this Venus-ruled energy of the Sun in Taurus now coming this weekend, a Uranus now in Taurus, and more importantly, we've got these very big aspects happening with a full moon in Libra and all this. This is dealing with some three-dimensional shifts that need to take place in the reality to match the 5D form, the 4D form that we have all ascended into. This is what I guess you could say, the repercussions of going through a massive, wide-awake spiritual experience of the last, decade has brought to us, is the physical world is about to shift to match the true value of what is inside of us now. And so you can't freak out. The number one thing about this week is to not freak out about how weird things might be, how alone you might have to feel about some of the things that you have to express or the things that you have to drop. There is a lot when it comes to having to see the endings of things. We are at the endings of a Venus cycle through Pisces and its rebirth, the endings of Mercury and its recycle and a new birth, the ending of a second full moon in Libra at the last degree, which is where Pluto in July and August of 84 was at the last time that Pluto was there, and then it crossed into Scorpio for its full journey there. And you have to remember that this is major, because this is a big change point in life when it deals with the weirdness of relationships, the weirdness of sexual energy and how we connect. Why do you think in the last decade we've seen things like dating apps and, all these different kinds of relationships, and polyamory to open relationships to, these kind of marriages to this kind of situation to, it's been all over the place. And that's why I want to take a second to pause to process all that. Because this is no joke now. The game changer is here, and it's going to come out of nowhere because we have been juiced up by some surgeon, literally hooking up the IV and putting you knocked out. And then bang! You got to remember the 0 point of Aries with Venus and Mercury is going to wake us up. Bang! Because 0 Aries is the top of the head where the brain is, and that's where the fire starts when you wake up in the morning. Because when you're in Pisces, you're asleep. You fall asleep, you dream. The fact that you wake up every morning and alive is the understanding that of 0 Aries and waking up that you are alive for a new day. That the sun, when it crosses the 0 Aries point, is the beginning of a new whole entire year of the earth. Because guess what? It is now equal day, equal night, and going to move into more light. So we are moving now into a full version of things really starting to be for this whole new year element. And you have to remember that Jupiter now is retrograde. So the universe has showed you lots of different doorways and everything, but now with the retrograde, it's about really processing now the inner journey of really, you have every opportunity possible and to start receiving it. But we have to make choices because we are in a weird element with Neptune, which is in its home side of dignity, still making squares to Jupiter, and Jupiter is heading backwards on its way towards a stronger square to Neptune again, which means that we cannot keep holding ourselves into this in-between space of not knowing, not understanding, and not willing to explore the worlds that we want to go to? Or do we want to put all of our energy and all of our wishes into repeating old patterns again? Or do we want to learn from those patterns? Do we want to understand those patterns? Do we want to keep putting so much into those patterns? And this moon in Scorpio, after the full moon in Libra, which the moon, of course, will apex at 29 degrees, but let's be honest, it's a sun in Taurus and a full moon in Scorpio. So we are in full moon energy for most of this week, and it's going to be extreme. And every time I have seen in astrology, and it's been happening a lot over these last, this last especially, no joke, 2012, is we have seen everything from eclipses at 0 degree marks and then switching over to so many full moons that have been happening at these final degrees, which what happens with that is that the sun moves into a new sign and then the moon moves into a new sign within hours of themselves, within less than a day. So we go into total change of vibration, not only with both lunations, but our soul and our emotional degrees. And it's major, like from one chapter to another chapter to an all new book in a minute, just like bing, bang, boom. And this is moving from all this Aries and Libra of the questions of our identity and who to be with and who is really on the team and what do I identify with and what am I trying to weigh out so much, to Taurus. What am I going to own now? What am I going to step into my worth? What do I deserve? And what do I really desire? And what do I want to emotionally have? And remember, the moon now is going to go into its fall position. And with this Scorpio moon of transformation, oh my gosh, transformation is going to be the name of the game in order to have what you really want. And that's scary because it's Scorpio. You have to face some deep fears of what you're afraid to change. Now, I do want to note that with this full moon in Libra on Friday, that it will make some very interesting aspects. It is going to make an awesome aspect to Jupiter, of course. It's going to make great aspects to Mars, actually even earlier than that. Remember, Mars is in Gemini. But the big one is that the full moon in Libra will make a very harsh square before it becomes full, but it will be literally, 6 degrees, 5 degrees pretty much away before the apex, squaring Saturn in the south node and Pluto in the south node. So the peace and harmony we want in our lives has to come into a major complication with some thuggish energy. It's like Negan in Walking Dead with Lucille. I know for all those Walking Dead people, they understand what I'm talking about. But he's laughing. And you know what? At any moment, you have to be prepared for right when you think things are smoothed over. No, bam, if it's not of integrity, and especially remember that Saturn is exalted when it's in Libra. But this time, this Saturn-Pluto, where Saturn-Pluto was in 82, 83, and 84, guess what? That was just exalted. This is now in its dignity. And Pluto is not that strong in Libra, by the way. I'm just going to let you know, folks. So Pluto is much stronger in Capricorn. So this Saturn-Pluto is a big deal, and this full moon will square that position. And it's going to put a lot of complication on things, because the complication now really is the things that you're choosing, that you want to have, that you want to connect with, that you're weighing out in your life, is it even got the full integrity of yourself, and are you fully emotionally in? Because I think what we saw with Notre Dame, and some people are saying out there not to talk about this stuff or give some astrology, but people have been asking. I did a live last night on Instagram about it. That anything that doesn't hold the integrity anymore, spiritually, emotionally, it's going to go through a major cataclysmic kind of Pluto-Saturn destruction and reboot. And so there's a lot that's going to be faced of what is going to show you and give you the truth of Libra, because Libra brings justice and it brings truth through the court system, through a judge, through, evidential, remember that this is a cardinal air sign. It wants to deliver information fast, and it wants to give, and it wants to know yes or no, and it really wants to know guilty or not guilty. It really doesn't Libra doesn't do well when you kind of plead no contest, and then it's like, okay, well now I guess they're saying they are, but they're not. That's why Libra likes guilty, not guilty, relationship or not relationship. It's got a little Scorpio energy to it, right? Scorpio is very the same way, and that's funny that they both are next to each other, because relationships, the next thing that comes is Scorpio kind of understands whether or not, are we going to have sex or no sex, or are we going to, what is the depth of how deep are we going emotionally with this? And what are we committing to this relationship? Are we going to be business partners and we're going to make money, or are we going to just be associates that talk all the talk and then we don't make a deal? Like, there's a lot of this that's going on, but with the complications of Pluto and Saturn, if it's not of integrity, if you can't put your full North Node in Cancer emotional energy 100% into it, it doesn't have integrity, it will fall. I'm proud of Tiger Woods. He's a good example of Pluto, Saturn, and the South Node. You know why? Because Tiger Woods literally is a Capricorn. And when in 2008, when Pluto entered into Capricorn, that guy fell hard. That was his last big, major, win. And then we just watched him fall, literally. We watched how powerful Pluto and Capricorn could take the strongest of the strongest and take it down to nothing. Literally, just 2 years ago, that guy finished like 30-something in the Masters, which is not good. You got to make the final, top people to even make the last day on Sunday. We saw him with his DUI stuff. We saw him with, his wife and the sex addiction thing and everything. And you know what? He had lost the integrity of the game in a weird way, with the way that he was in his attitude about his, my back and my surgeries and throwing clubs. But you know what? When he won the Masters on Sunday, he did the right integrity thing. He got back to his old game. He got back to just focusing, and focusing for him was always why he always won. He wasn't distracted, and he never let his emotions overwhelm him. But he felt comfortable emotionally with focus and drive to the dedication to win, and that guy won. That Pluto and Saturn can revive anything. I'm going to get a little crazy here, but Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn is a little bit of Frankenstein energy, okay? Frankenstein can't be revived. But it's about not being delusional about trying to revive something that you don't know if you're really ready to handle that again or go through that same pattern again. We don't want to go start walking through graveyards and going like, let me bring back great-great-great-great-grandma. Fucking, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I don't know, she is a little crazy. It's like we don't want to just start reviving things because we're too afraid to face that we're over the integrity, and it's okay to release things. This is a full moon. It's okay to release the guilt that you have. It's okay to release that maybe it doesn't make sense and it's not in alignment, because Libra is about being in alignment of peace and harmony and truth and fairness. And if it's just not fair, not everybody's on the same page, and you are not fully in it, and you are not emotionally all the way, then it's okay to just let it go and watch it just fall down. But this Scorpio moon, this sun in Taurus, this weekend, holy moly. We get the sun and Uranus conjuncting on Monday for the first time since the 30s. And the big part about this is the moon will be in Sagittarius with Jupiter opening a magical big door. And so this week is really about this huge new world that will begin. But with Taurus, you walk into this new world with the self-worth and also the baggage that you hold. And so what we're bringing in, are we bringing in things that we don't fully have integrity in? Are we bringing in unbalanced situations? Are we bringing in things that we're still confused about, even when the universe has thrown us out of confusion this week? Believe it or not, it has. But are we going to play victim to our own, I don't want to make a choice. I don't want to figure this out. Because Taurus can only create once you've chosen, hey, we're going to make bananas in that banana field. Hey, we're going to make pickles. We're going to make corn. Like, it needs that Aries choice of identity, and it needs the decision, because without it, it doesn't know what to build. If you set a cow on the side and don't have it working or milking or whatever you do with cows, I mean, I'm not a farmer. I'm not going to play son-in-law like Pauly Shore here, although I think I do pretty good with it. But I'm trying to just tell you that when it comes to cows, they need to be doing something, because if they're not doing something, then they really are just throwing methane gas up in the air and farting and just fucking not doing shit. And it's a waste of energy. And then you want the Green New Deal to kill all the fucking cows. I just said that. But it's like, that's the whole situation of like, are you going to end up being a cow sitting there farting, not doing shit with your life because you literally are too afraid to make a decision because it's too sensitive? It's too, oh my God, I've got to deal with, I don't have the courage. Chiron in Aries is going to be shown for real now. And you are going to feel the insecurities that we all have to have courage to just be ourselves. Why? When Uranus taught us this excitement of it. Go look at every Instagram people now and anybody on social media and what Uranus and Aries did. I'm confident. Look at me now. And oh my gosh. And then how ironic that last year in 2018 when Uranus went into Taurus and then went back into Aries, now it's like we're feeling bad. Like, it's so bad to be a social media person. It's very tough. And it messes with your mind and it messes with your emotions and it messes. Yeah, I mean, I have very deep compassion for that. But at the same token, it's like, if you're going to step into an identity, you need to make sure that you're fully bringing the integrity, that you're ready to own that you have tested it. And anybody is going to have a difficult time fully stepping into an identity that's going to be a little bit odd and weird, especially if you're trying to fake it. The people on that social media thing and all that stuff is when they're putting their life out and they're faking it, because there is no more faking allowed. One thing that Uranus and Taurus does a great job with is showing what's fake. That's why counterfeit energy comes up a lot during this time. And what's counterfeit now is your own inner world of what you're not going to bring integrity to, what you are afraid to make a choice on, and just smiling and faking the identity and doing the Chiron and Aries thing like, no, everything's all good. Yeah, everything's good, when really underneath you feel like Quasimodo ready. Yeah, I bet you it was Quasimodo who freaking blew up, Notre Dame. He was sick of everybody, like, everybody's looking at me weird. Oh my God, I hate this. I can't handle this anymore. The gargoyles are my friends only. Oh my God, light this up. Ah! Are you going to be that person? Quasimodo. Let's go to the charts. Quasi! I think Quasi would be kind of a cool friend. Let's bring the mic up there. There we go. Sorry about this. Quasi. I just want to say, I always do little announcements here. Spiritual dance music is going to be Thursday night, right as that full moon, because that full moon I'm going to show you in the charts is apexing like early Friday morning. So we're doing spiritual dance music here in the studio. We have some very rare limited tickets available to be live in the studio. So if you're in Southern California, email craig@theleoking.com, because we're going to have people here that want to be part of it. And you out there, if you're not in California, you can't make the live studio show, please make the live. This is a big full moon. You could feel it, not only with relationships, but with your whole identity and who you are. And this is a full moon where we all need to come together and really do a ceremony together. We really don't need to watch the news. We really don't need to get distracted on bullshit. We all need to individually and collectively come together and release and all help each other figure this power out within ourselves and support each other with the decisions we're all coming into our lives. So that's why I'm opening up the studios for a certain amount of people to come here live and watch the show live, and I get a lot of requests for it. And also, for those that aren't able to make it, to really join us live. All right, let's take a look at today. What is it? Yeah, today is the 16th already? Holy moly. Is it going or no? Oh yeah, cool. So this is what's weird. We are at the last point of this Mercury here, right? So if you see Mercury 29, 45, this is exactly where Mercury retrograde. So we're coming out of the shadow and the confusion. But Mercury's looking straight at Chiron going, I'm coming out and I'm coming into Aries, or I'm excited to come, but now I got to deal with one more thing, the weirdness around the identity of trying to understand my unique, kind of complicated situations of who I am, and am I going to be able to have the courage to do this? This is the doubts that you can actually do it, because there's a lot of doubt going on in the universe at the 29th degree of Pisces. There's a lot of doubt in the universe with Mars, which is semi-square the sun. There's too many questions here of like stepping into who we want to be. You'd think Mars and the sun, Mars in Gemini is great, and you'd think that the sun in Aries is, of course, exalted, it's great, but when they're in semi-square, it's not. I mean, Mars is making a hard aspect to the sun in its exaltation, where the sun loves Mars when it's in Aries, but Mars is making a hard aspect, and Mars is like in Gemini. So it's questions, and where's Mercury? Oh, it's right at the end of the zodiac. Oh, it's coming out of shadow. Oh, it's coming on top of Chiron. So we are at a battle in ourselves of our mind. We are at a battle of ourselves of the choices we make. We are running around like fucking little pops on a top, like, I'm doing this, no, I'm doing that, no, I'm doing this, and we can change our mind on a dime. Our emotions can change on a dime. Now, also interesting that the moon has been in Virgo, and the moon in Virgo, of course, is getting ready to oppose Venus, oppose Mercury as it's leaving Pisces, and get ready to come into Libra on Wednesday, where that full moon will begin for long. I'm going to show you how long this full moon is going to be. It's going to be a long one. But this is where there's a lot of confusion about what life to live, how does this life, is it going to look? And there's an emotional obsession with kind of playing around and kind of getting all lost and this and that and this and that, and trying to make adjustments and trying to find the rhythm. But like, how am I going to do this if I'm still kind of lost and trying to understand, and still kind of lost in the ethers of all these other things that I'm trying to figure out in my life, and what should I want, and how am I going to make this happen? Because there's a lot of confusion here on Tuesday still. It's still here. There's a lot. And especially as you see here with Pluto and Saturn with the South Node right smack dab at the midpoint. And this is a very intense aspect, because Saturn, of course, is in its home sign. Pluto is very strong here. Pluto's at 2308, and here's that 21 degree South Node right on top of these bad boys, right? And these two guys want integrity, and if it's not, they will destroy it, especially as they've been squaring over to the Sun in Aries. And with Jupiter, it's offline. It's stopped. It's gone as far as Jupiter can go. And Jupiter's in its home sign, so it's lost its great edge, I guess you could say, or its great magnificent powers. And it's making a square to the moon, and it's making a square to Venus. We got a T-square from Jupiter, Venus, and the moon. So before we enter into this whole entire lunation of this full second new moon, we already are at extreme, like different, like what are all my options? I want to know all my fucking options for my life, for my spiritual life, and for where my life could go. I need to know all the damn options. I want to know that I have lots of options. It's like we are so afraid to make choices unless we have enough options. And I think that the pressure is realizing, like, okay, well, you already know the options, and I think that you need to look a little deeper and realize, like, well, what makes sense? Like, stop bringing options to the table that really don't make sense. Like, if it's a relationship issue, like one that maybe you're not fully attracted to, or one that lives a life that you would never connect with, or one that just like doesn't make sense. There's a lot of like having to make sense of things, but that's very hard when you have Jupiter retrograde squaring the moon in Virgo, squaring Venus in its exaltation in Pisces, Mercury on the last degree coming out of shadow. Talk about trying to make sense. Mars in Gemini, which is you'd think would be clear and make sense, is semi-squaring the sun in Aries, which is again another clear element. So this is us with coming into this full moon with no sense at all, no understanding, no idea how it's going to go, and that is what is going to make this full moon a turning point and a game changer, especially as the sun and Uranus are getting closer to finally give us a bang, the crazy radical understanding. So as we move on to Wednesday, the moon is in Libra. Now Wednesday, April 17th, boom, we move into this moon in Libra, and it's going to trine Mars. I think that this is positive. It's going to give us some sort of help. But you have to remember, like, Mars, when it's in Libra, is at its detriment, and the moon in Gemini is kind of a crazy wild beast as far as all over the place emotionally. There's just too much to figure out. So, yeah, I think that Mars is kind of pumping the moon, like, and the moon is trying to get some energy from Mars of courage. And it's like, do you have any information for me to weigh out? And Mars is like, sure, but I'm in semi-square with the sun, and on top of that, I kind of don't have much information. Yes, Mercury's just come into Aries, which is very powerful and finally starting to come clear, and it's moving fast because right when Mercury crosses the shadow point, it's at full speed. And so, you know, Mercury is flying again and it's happy. But we get a little clarity on Wednesday, but it's through, I think a lot of it is like trying to understand is the only ways to take action on things. Like, if you need to have a conversation, have a conversation. If you want to explore something and see what it looks like and feels like and everything, you've got to look at it. These are big doorways that are becoming open right now with this second full moon and with Jupiter retrograde and with the sun closing in on Uranus and with all this stuff. And we want to make sure that we look at things before we jump into this portal of trying to weigh out. The moon's already in Libra, already weighing it out. So it's like, last minute, while in the courtroom, before we start the court, do you got to go to the bathroom? Do you need to bring any more evidence? Like, go get it. What are you doing? The judge is up here in like 15 minutes, dude. I'll watch out for you. I'll get on my iWatch and text you, like, get to the courtroom now. Every day at 12 p.m. for the next 5 days.
I didn't find any events about...
Oh. Set a reminder to get to the courtroom now at noon within 15 minutes.
Here's your reminder.
So I set that reminder because every day at noon for the next 5 days, I am going to make sure that I am looking at what I can do in my life to see and make sure that I have all the information I have before entering into this major courtroom. That I am looking at everything, that I'm not just going to just use this Venus and Pisces, you know, narked up on freaking Propanol or whatever that shit is, and just be like, oh, this is what I've got, so it's fine. Just go to the courtroom with that, man. No! This is a big wake-up call. While it's like waking up kind of like sedated and you're in the courtroom. What the fuck? I've got 15 minutes to like fucking get my extra shit. You better get up and do it. Mars is trying to help, saying, I got some info, but you might want to go out. You want me to go look for some more? Like, Mars will do anything. Like, Mars is like wanting to do something. Mars has been bored as fuck. Because of all this stuff that's been going on in Pisces, because that this sun in Aries has not been at its greatest exaltation with horrible squares to the Saturn, Pluto, and South Node energies, Mars has been just like, what the hell's going on? Can somebody please tell me what I'm here to do? Can somebody please give me some answers? Can somebody please figure this out? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So finally, the moon in Libra is like the court or your own weighing out of things is like, yeah, we need to go investigate some stuff. And that's what's going on coming, Tuesday night, Wednesday. Like, this is like us needing to really look at as much as we can before we're just like narking out on, oh yeah, I guess what I have to deal with. The answers are very clear in front of you, believe it or not, and revealing themselves very fast. And with this moon in Libra, once it comes with the trine to Mars, it is kind of in a weird space. It's going to have to, on Thursday, square all this stuff, which I'm going to show you right now. So Wednesday's kind of an explorative day. It's not the most extreme. We start to get extreme on Thursday. And let's look at Thursday. So we got the moon in Libra getting ready for the full moon. We got the sun at 28 degrees. It's half a degree away from coming to 29. And this moon is coming to an exact square with Saturn, the south node, and Pluto. And this is what I was talking about, is like there is a major pressure point here in the universe coming. As we're trying to weigh out things, look at Venus, 27 degrees. It's at the end of the zodiac. It's at these last 3 degrees where things kind of are, I guess you could say, we lose hope or we give in either the best or the worst ways, right? Like we surrender so much that sometimes it's drug use. Sometimes it's like, I don't think there's better. I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just going to deal with this is what it is. And I think that it's very important with the moon squaring Saturn and the south node and Pluto right before it becomes full that night, Thursday night into Friday morning, especially here on the West Coast, that we make sure that what we are putting into this court to weigh out, is it really of what I will bring my full integrity? Will you be willing to emotionally, with the North Node in Cancer, will you be willing to 100% emotionally commit yourself of integrity fully? Or are you going to be a little bit on the fence? Because this Pluto-Saturn, this South Node, and even this North Node in Cancer, this big battle of cardinal energy, which by the way is creating a cross, okay? Not very strong, but it is strong. It is about, are you emotionally just hanging on the fence? Because we won't accept that. Number one, North Node and Cancer won't accept that because the emotions will never feel safe, fully immersed in great feeling and joy and feel good and happy. And then Capricorn is like, Saturn and Pluto are like, oh, you're not delivering us what we need. It's almost like, I always use the example of 2 blokes on the block, of like the mafia and you not making your payment. Well, if you're on the fence and you ain't willing to breathe of integrity and you're going to go make a deal with these guys and then, weeks from now try and back out, they're going to hit you on the head hard. Or better yet, blow up Notre Dame. I mean, I think a good example of like this mystifying sense of how we think things are and so forth is like, you have to remember that on the weekend, we had that grand trine and fire. We had the sun trine Jupiter with the moon in Leo. We had Venus square Jupiter. And of course, it was Game of Thrones. Everyone was all obsessed. It was a big, exciting situation. And you could tell the whole thing has changed. The way the cinematography is done, the way that the storyline is done, they changed things. And not to say that it was horrible, but it was not what I think people expected. Venus square Jupiter. It's kind of like this is going a different direction. This is not going to look the same. This is going to be a totally different feel, a totally different vibe. And are they going to hold the integrity of it fully? For real? Or is it going to be more cheesy, like Daenerys on dragons and like kissing and like acting kind of with by the way, I don't know what kind of TV you have, but like it was the most fake background I'd ever seen in my life. So, it's like, is this really, we're all kind of in a space of like, are you going to bring full integrity? And I think in that show, a lot of, there are viewers that are wondering, is that show going to bring the full integrity? Fully? Will it? Or will it get the worst? What if the ending just goes totally bad or whatever? And because integrity is not fully there. We will see. I'm not saying that I know, but these are big questions that come up. And there's no irony that, that when we look at this astrology, that moon's squaring all the nodes, and because the nodes are the nodes of the moon. And the second lunation full moon in Libra is going to hit about what you're on the fence with emotionally and committing integrity-wise to. And Mercury that day is going to be on top of Chiron. So, hold on. Oh, they won't let me. All right, there we go. There we are. Erase. So if you see here, there we go. Mercury on top of Chiron, where as we're weighing all this out, Mercury is now starting to receive information at Chiron of how weird or how sensitive or how humbling it is. Are you really courageous to be who you are? Or I'm going to use this term and it's going to trigger people. Or are you too weak? Are you too scared? Are you not ready to really do the work of living your sovereign, independent, true self? Or are you going to fall victim to going backwards? Like, no. Because ahead of this sun is Uranus. And it's in Taurus. And Uranus is sitting there waiting for the first time in over 70 years, going like, oh, let's see. Let's see what they bring in to this new world to go manifest. Because Taurus is the fixed earth sign. And you really want that world to be that? With Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn in the South Node, that's concrete. With Taurus, Venus energy, right? Like, but with the Uranian energy to that, that new world, it will be. There is not going to be an easy way to get out of situations that you choose to commit to at this point. And this is a very big, make sure before you enter this world that you have evaluated it, that you have truly emotionally weighed it all out, because if there's not full integrity, if there's emotion missing, if there's some weird energy, if you're going to put your own true authentic self, because it's too scary to deal with the uniqueness of who you are and truly experience that, because you don't want to hurt anybody or hurt anything. Chiron becomes a little limp dick in fucking Aries. Like, oh, like the warrior comes in like, I don't know if I can. I don't know. It's never even been on the front line yet. Like, go out on the front line. Go see. Go see. Go see if you really are weak or not. Like, if you're afraid of dying, then why did you even become a warrior? You know what I mean? Like, but all of us have like put ourselves in situations of like, this is what I want to be, but we don't want to actually fully go into the game and actually be it. That's some deep astrology shit right there. Ooh, ooh. Let's go to that full moon. This is going to be good. So, full moon, April 19th at 4:11 a.m. I would do spiritual dance music if I could at this time, but I can't. It's just too early in the morning, and more importantly, Craig's got a great vacation that he's already blocked for Friday, so we cannot do it Friday. But this full moon, 2906 Libra. This sun, 2906. We're at the last degrees here. And look at this tension. Ooh, ooh. Now, the moon is going to make a quincunx all the way down, this in conjunction to Venus. How ironic, since the moon is ruled by Venus, okay? And now the moon is making a hard aspect that's funky to Venus in Pisces at the last degree of the zodiac, a degree and a half away. It's like right at the end. And this is what makes things funky, is like, as we weigh things out, these weird feelings of insecurity, of over-compassion start to take us over. Or delirium. Oh, no, actually, this can work. Or this is it. But we have to remember, this is a sun exalted, and you need to remember that a full moon, as my good friend Christopher Witecki taught me a decade ago, is a wolf in sheep's clothing. So your over-attachment issues is the wolf in sheep's clothing that is blocking you from your true authentic self. And this is the sun and Uranus coming close, because on the weekend the sun comes into Taurus. And this is about your true value and worth. And you do not want to enter into this period here after this full moon in Libra with some hardcore truth. I'm going to show you that in a second. But when you see this, Mars, 12 degrees, Mars is starting to make squares over to Neptune. We definitely don't want to start entering into worlds and have to go through the Mars square Neptune energy in the next couple weeks with us actually looking at, these are the facts. This is taking me to a place I don't really want to go. Oh my God. So don't you dare, I sound like some fucking mean old teacher. Don't you dare start doing things just because you're emotionally all messed up from your own delirium or your oversensitivities. Read your book. And you got Mercury literally less than a degree from Chiron. And Venus is ready to come into its detriment of Aries, right? And this is where I was saying is how funny that Venus is coming into Aries when the moon is at this apex point. It's like it's ready to come in. I mean, this is intense. And you can't forget about the Neptune-Uranus semi-square. And what I mean by this is, oh my gosh, there we go here. There we go. This has been going on for over a year and continues throughout this whole year. Is when you look at this full moon, these are the secret aspects to look at. And these will give you clarity in ways that, you'll be happy I brought them up. So you got Neptune here at 17, making a semi-square to Uranus at 2. That is a 45-degree angle, okay? And that one is almost exact. Then you've got Mars and the Sun. This one's now at a 43-degree angle, but it's still semi-square, okay? Semi-squares are 43 degrees, okay? So we got these secret hard angles. And if you see this opposition and then this in conjunction here to Venus, which the moon is in a Venus-ruled sign, and Venus is an exaltation, and this is a little bit of an emotional pull that before it makes its judgment call at the last degree, where it doesn't have much more time because it's going to enter Scorpio, where the judgment's been made and the executor either executes you or releases you. Remember that Scorpio rules police. Why do you think it rules police? What are the police going to do with you after you go to court? Are they going to throw you in jail? Are they going to take you to hell? Are they going to execute you? Or are they going to liberate you and free you? What is going to happen here? And the sun is about to come into Taurus, right? Where it's like, this is what I chose, and that's what's going to be the world. And this is the first time we've ever seen in our lives, folks, unless you were born in the third and you lived during the 30s. This is the first time in most of our lives, most of the population here, where it's like, guess what? We don't know what this new world will look like, and Uranus will actually take us on the biggest roller coaster of our life towards the highest places or the lowest, and to teach us ascension and to teach us to go to better places. So those are secret aspects. I would say that the other kind of funky secret aspects going on is when you actually kind of take stock on everything. You've got Mars, which is sesquiquadrate to the moon too. So the moon is making weird elements and weird aspects over to Mars and Venus, which is dealing with what we choose and what we identify with in our lives. And it's about thinking clearly and of course, learning release from our own patterns, learning to get rid of delusions and look at clarity as much as possible, so we don't get caught up in a weird full moon, so we don't let this full moon basically stamp down the identity for us. We choose that on our own from understanding the future and the new world that we want ahead. Now, the reason why that this gets gnarly on Saturday is because the sun comes into Taurus, and this is the chart for the ingress of the sun in Taurus. it's exactly with Mercury on Chiron and Mercury coming off Chiron, and it's Venus at the 29th degree. So right when we come into Taurus, which is a whole new vibration, we're out of Aries. Now we have to own things. Venus is at the last degree where it's pretty much one of the hardest degrees. It really is. Because it's like, are we really owning something we don't want? 29 degrees that we really want to let go of, but we have to kind of attach now because now the moon is in full position, even though it's not apexed anymore, but it is in full. The sun's in Taurus and the moon's in Scorpio. And this is a fall moon, and it's heavy attached to it. And now you're kind of in the real fixed story here of this is what you got, this is what you're gonna get, this is what you chose, this is what you made. And Uranus is freedom. So the sun is ready to come into freedom, but only the freedom from what you brought with you and what you have. But what you own, there is the integrity element. If you're not going to put full integrity into it, well, what you're bringing in to try and own and what you're bringing in to try and emotionally connect with, and you're not fully of integrity and you're not fully emotionally there, you're walking into a crazy, radical, dramatic, over-dramatic situation. Because this weekend, before we get to the Sun-Uranus conjunction with Venus at the 29th degree, this Sun coming into Taurus, Mars now at 13, now here we go. Things are getting a little funkier, and even to the fact that Mercury's on Chiron and coming off of it, and now starting to see the truth for the first time, that we want to see the truth while owning our individual freedom of our true value and worth, that we weren't too weak, we weren't too, we weren't looking clear enough because we were colluded in our own delusion of that we aren't good enough to be what we want, or it's impossible to have that, I'll settle. And Pluto and Saturn are ready to reap the rewards or the destruction of the integrity lines of what we're going to make a choice of, because they're getting ready for their retrogrades. And on Sunday, Venus now has officially moved into Aries. So actually Saturday night, Venus moves into Aries. But, look at that. Venus now in Aries. Now when we start to look around, the moon is in Sag, making a quincunx, making a trine over. And Mercury now is at 5 degrees. It's come off of Chiron. And the sun now is going, whoa, we are ready to enter a new world. So Sunday is where the drama can become very intense, but there is I think the universe actually, believe it or not, is giving everybody one last shot. It's like the cops literally put you in and everything, and then there's an open door. There's one last little open door here. Hey, you. It's like reminds me of the old 1800s movies. Hey, you, the sheriff's asleep, the deputy's asleep. Let me go get the key. Do you want out of this situation fully? The new world starts tomorrow. Are you sure you want to be here? You want to have this. This is what you want. This Jupiter is showing up like Uncle Jupe in the backyard, helping the kid out and being like, oh, your parents wouldn't give you beer, kid, here you go. There's a lot of this Jupiterian, I've got your back. Venus and Aries, even though it is detriment, it has the power to get what it wants. And it will, and even though Chiron's there, it's kind of okay, I just got out of Pisces, I was really empathetic and everything, but it's I don't know, do I really want to put all that there? Do I really need this in my life? And I think that this is hard, especially for the spiritual community, because all this energy, Sun and Taurus, all this Aries is very about independence and self. We are at a place where we have to be. I'm sorry to say, because the integrity lines of us committing to traditions and structures and rules of doing things that we are not emotionally fulfilled with, that we're just doing it to be of some sort of our idea of integrity in whatever the spiritual world is or whatever that is that really in alignment truly with yourself or this greater, perspective? Well, when you put it towards this greater perspective of how we should be, I'm not talking about morals and I'm not talking about ethics. I'm talking about your individuality of your own feeling of what feels good inside and what feels right and what you don't feel like you want to have in your life. That the universe gives you a choice. It almost is maybe you didn't, maybe you chose this decision with this partnership or with this, career move or with this situation. This weekend is no joke. It's like, is this the life you want to live? It's going to ask you wherever you're at in your life. Is this pattern, whatever that you have chosen, are you sure this is taking you to the road of heaven? Because Taurus is heaven, believe it or not. And Scorpio literally does rule hell. And there is this big Garden of Eden that we could walk into. And it's like, are you sure this is the Garden of Eden for you? So check yourself on Saturday into Sunday. And when you look around and the persons that you're next to and the environment that you're around in, be like, is this and what you've decided that you're going to own in your life or not? Like, is this really what heaven is? Is this really what it is? And what other options are there out there? Are you wanting to go look or not? Now, the last chart's Monday, and this is the Sun-Uranus conjunction. And this is a big, big deal. Because when you get Sun and Uranus, this is about the first time we're coming into this whole new world since the 30s. And Venus is conjunct Chiron, almost within a degree. So yeah, we're going to have to own some funky feelings, whether they're independent or whether you're going to own something that you don't want. It's going to be one or the other. Where are you going to meet up within that? And Sun Uranus wants freedom. But it's hard when Uranus is at the fall position of Taurus because the freedom only comes when you don't have to hold on to something. Uranus and Taurus is kind of let's get rid of all this clutter. Let's get rid of all this hoarding. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. And with the moon squaring Neptune, the moon is going to be squaring Neptune. Sure, the door's open. You have a way to free yourself. You got to look at, are you going to go open up or reopen up an old story? Because maybe you actually did make the right choice. This is going to throw people for the kicker. Maybe you did make the right choice, but then now now there's this energy coming in. Are you sure that that's what you really want? It's or do you want to go back to your old patterns? It's oh God, Uranus is throwing us for a trick question. Pop quiz, motherfucker. Pop quiz. Do you want to go relive patterns or do you want to go out of patterns and into this new world? That is something that you have to make on your own. And that's why Monday is extremely important, because by the end of the night, the moon is going to come over and be on top of Jupiter that night, while the sun crosses Uranus and moves us into the new world, and we literally leap into whatever we have to own now. And with Uranus, it's about being free and being open and fancy-free with the ability to do it without feeling like we have some sort of attachment that we're not really wanting to have. And I think that that's a big deal. And it's something that we all don't want to go through at all. It's definitely something that we all don't want to go through, and it's something that we all don't need to go through. And, because what's waiting for us is, I don't know, and maybe you guys should watch some clips, but this is what's waiting for us with Saturn and Pluto, is right here, is Negan. He's hardcore. I don't know if we could pop it up. Or is it not working? All right, it should go down. So, is we got Negan here. And he's not somebody to mess around with. If you in that whole show, he is totally Saturn Pluto conjunct, and especially in Capricorn. And you don't want those spikes hitting you. And if you're not of integrity with him, he literally will beat you in the head. I know that might sound very harsh, but I'm just trying to prepare people for some truth here, yo. And Taurus only wants the best. If it's not the best, and have you explored that yet? That's what I'm going to end with here, is have you truly explored the best? Or are you still hunkering in your same environments and trying to find the best in the same environments? It's not easy, I know, but I will say that you've got to realize that this end of this week into Monday is when you look forward into this new world of finding a better life, period, that it is required for you to be open enough to have the options to see what is beyond what is in front of you right now and what you have attached to previously. If you're afraid of that, you will never know what is on the other side. Maybe later on, maybe with the assistance of others later on, after they've already gone. And I get it. Lewis and Clark were very unique people who thought that way and went. And to be all honest with everyone, I'm a Jupiter conjunct Neptune person, so I think way beyond. And that's probably how I've got here in my life. So it's easy for people with very good Jupiters and people with very good Jupiter-Neptune aspects that see beyond the environment that they're in now. But if you're a person who is attached, that doesn't know how to let go, as Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, I cannot let go. No. You're not going on that other side. You will not see what's over there. There will be a wall. And this is it right here, the last thing to say. Do you think it's a coincidence? There's no coincidences in the line of work I do. That the black hole picture comes out between the both double full moon and Libras. Are you going to get sucked into a black hole where you actually will not see the other side? See, we're being told, oh yeah, there is another side, and we always think about where the black hole might take us. But there is another form of a black hole, which is the black hole that takes us out of what we are in now, of a universe that is moving into a new light, a new beautiful place. And there is energies and dark energies that are trying to suck you into the black hole to bring you to, think about this. This is where you need to know your galactic consciousness. I am sick of people putting 7 chakras up when there are 12. There are 5 more fucking chakras up there. And that last chakra at the top is source energy chakra. The 4th one is galactic chakra. Understand the galactic chakra here. In 2012, we moved into a whole new spring of the sun. We are being fooled by Game of Thrones saying that we are in winter is here. That is fucking false. We are in spring. We are moving into a new world. We are not at winter. That black hole leads you into winter. That black hole leads you into darkness, because on the other side of that galaxy, whatever it is in the other side of that black hole, that other universe, I guarantee you, because it's flipped, if we just like I just want to draw this real quick and then we're done, I swear. And I know I sound like a maniac right now, but I'm here to just, be real. Okay? So let's say, this is this universe and this is this universe, and, there's the whole, nobody gets sexual. This is not, so this is where we live. And let's say that this is let's say this line, because it's a flat disk, okay? This is our Milky Way galaxy, and we're our sun. So if you understand the galactic plane, the sun does this just like the sun and Earth's relationship does on the ecliptic plane. So for the last 6,000 years, the sun was in winter. This is where Game of Thrones is. They're trying to, on the dark, throw you here because when the sun reached on December 22nd, 2012, it started to move more towards on the north side of the equator into the promised land of the next 6,000 years towards the golden age, silver age, and we're leaving the iron age and moving into the bronze age and to the positive. Now, so if our sun is moving up towards that place over the next 6,000 years, why do you think we see a black hole right now? There are dark entities that want to take you and have you be stuck in the connections that are not you and not want to see what's on the other side of this new universe and are lying to you and telling you that this reality is all dark and showing to you through movies, through projections, through all these things that it's horrible, that the environment's bad, that we're going to die, that humans are bad, and then throw you into the black hole because the opposite would mean that on that side of the galaxy that the sun has reached its fall position, the opposite of spring, and that that other side of the universe right now is fucking heading into 6,000 years of dark. Do you want to fucking go there? Be there for spiritual dance music. Thursday, we're going to get you out of that place. Make sure that you stay here and that you go into the universe that is towards the new direction. And that is straight from the architects of the universe, by the way. Secondly, my full moon in Libra Game Changer video is available now for download. 80 minutes where I just spend everything like I just did about this whole relationship thing. I go into the charts of 82, 83, 84. I take you all the way back. I take you to the future. I take you to understanding what this whole entire relationship thing is and what to prepare for, where the traps are, and how to understand that this is the ultimate game changer of relationships. And I know a lot of people have got it. If you please put your responses or comments underneath right now so people can know I'm trying to get this message. And honestly, this is how you can support me and how I do this deep astrology every day. Also, Future Life will be switching to highvibe.tv very soon. We are talking in a matter of a week or two. We are very close. So just know, if you're having Future Life issues, you have to email info@looksack.com. I do not own that app. That is not my app. You guys are not my users. Another company owns it. I am out of the contract. I am providing the license, my license of my content there, and the other Future Lifers to be good human beings and show up for you all. That paid. But technically, I am not in that deal anymore. That deal went sour. They're not servicing people. They're not reaching people back. I don't care if you got to go throw massive amounts of hate mail to them, hit up Apple, hit up Google, or whatever to get the answers to them because my hands are tied. I have no access to your user data. I have no access to your records. And the worst part about that thing is they put the name Leo King as the payment stripe on their Stripe account, so people think it's me when it's not me. I am the Leo King Inc. I am the Leo King. Anything that just says Leo King on a payment is another company with that name. I don't care if you have to. I have done everything. I have done meeting after meeting, phone call after phone call, appearance after appearance. They are not servicing people. They are not handling this in a very beautiful way. And I have done everything I can. If you're having a login issue, if you're having that's why we have moved everything onto our own platform. We have built it ourselves. We have customer service that will answer you within an hour that I have paid for that is going to be initiated. Transferring apps? I have no idea. The company that owns the app, Future Life, threw another app that on top of it that has millions of people on it called Wishbone. So, and I'm sure you might know about that app. So they're not going to turn over the keys to Future Life to do anything with. As far as users, I have no access to you guys. Zero. So it's a shitty situation. So all I'm trying to tell people here is this thing's about to switch, and I wish we could help you. I truly do. But our hands are tied. We have done everything, and there's nothing I can do. It's not I don't care. Well, I care all about you, but I'm trying to say I don't care if you cancel on them or you have to call the banks on them because it ain't my bank, it ain't my company, and it's not my thing. And we're showing up with integrity every day, putting the content up, and they're not servicing you. And if you have to all go throw a riot on them, I would love it because it's just not fair. It's just not fair. And it's not how you treat people, and it's not how you treat customers. And go on the app, go look on the app and go see who the seller of the app is. That's the company. Go to that company and write messages to that company. Write messages to the CEO. Throw fire under there because it's unfair. And we cannot do anything. I feel bad for Craig. I feel bad for, Jordan was my assistant. He's now left. We have a new person coming in. We cannot do anything. It's a horrible situation. So I just wanted to let people know that. We've been seeing comments about that. And yes, this is all moving over to Future Life. I mean, to High Vibe. But Future Life right now is a Titanic situation. And I don't have a new boat fully out yet to be able to have everybody jump on. And I have no way to take your tickets that you were a Future Life person on there. Literally, I have no way. So I don't know if I have to just keep feeding content on there till your subscription falls out. I have no idea. I have no idea how that's going to work. So I'm just letting people know that. And High Vibe TV School's up, so you can check that out. And I got more business courses on there and everything. And especially in that business course, I teach you how to be integrity in business and not to do business like that. And more importantly, when you're in deals, how to deal with it when you get to bigger levels like that. But, and especially with crazy apps and technology and partnerships, but everything from just building your own business to beginning. And then of course we have Sarah Posh in her school about shadow work. We've got Jackson, his whole tarot school. We've got my whole Leo King Elite school. And we do have the Spirit Advisor soon coming out with all of his content. So there's a lot on there. I'm sending you all my best. I appreciate you all from the love of my true self, my true heart. This full moon will be gnarly. I'll be there for you all with this, and of course with Spiritual Dance Music on Thursday. We'd love to see people here in the studio for tickets. Email Craig@theleoking.com, and I'd love for you to get that full moon video, The Game Changer in Relationships. It is 80 minutes long, and it will blow your mind. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next Deep Astrology.